A priest in Hage discovers two abandoned babies outside his church. He finds out that their names are Yuno and Asta after he has brought them inside. After 15 years, Asta approaches Sister Lily with a marriage proposal, but she politely declines each of his overtures. The other orphans, including Yuno, criticize Asta and point out that he does not possess any magical ability. Despite Asta's best efforts to demonstrate his powers, Yuno's magic is in a league of its own, putting Asta's abilities to shame. Later on, during the ceremony for the acceptance of the grimoire, two nobles make some disparaging remarks to the commoners who are in attendance. In spite of the fact that Asta has not yet acquired a grimoire in the shape of a four-leaf clover, like Yuno has, Asta challenges Yuno to a competition for the title of Wizard King, but Yuno chooses to ignore Asta's challenge. After the conclusion of the ceremony, the two nobles devise a plan to ambush Yuno outside of the tower, but Yuno is more than capable of defeating them. Revchi Salak, a former magic knight who plans to steal Yuno's grimoire and sell it, then ambushes the three to get what he wants. Salak plans to steal the grimoire and sell it. Asta comes to Yuno's rescue but fails. Revchi does something that breaks Asta's spirit after Yuno identifies Asta as his rival. As a direct consequence of this realization, Asta comes to the decision to proceed with the battle, which ultimately leads to the tower releasing a grimoire. As Asta grabs a large sword that materializes from the grimoire, the shadow of a devil materializes beside him. Revchi notes that it has a 5-leaf clover on it. When Yuno was only 10 years old, he was racing through a trail when he suddenly tripped and fell. Yuno was able to pull himself up with the assistance of Asta after he inquired as to his well-being and moved closer to help him. Asta mocked Yuno as a crybaby, and Asta reassured him that everything would be fine now that he had his back. After that, Asta and Yuno continue to run along the trail while holding hands, and Asta remarked that Sister Lily and the other orphans were waiting for them at the top of the trail. As a result of his desire to wed Lily, Asta began acting irrationally and throwing tantrums. Yuno enlightened him on the impossibility of that scenario by pointing out that Lily was a cloth member. After telling Yuno that he was not yet finished and would marry her one day when they were both adults, Asta got a smile on his face. Lily, who was listening to this conversation, told Yuno and Asta a story about how the Wizard King came into being later on while they were all together in the church. A courageous mage fought and defeated a demon that had brought darkness to the world and threatened to destroy it. As a result, the demon was vanquished and dawn returned to the world. While doing so, Yuno gave off the impression of being scared, and Asta seemed wholly engrossed in the story. The narrative came to a close, and both Yuno and Asta appeared very moved. One day, Asta was taking in the scenery outside the church when she noticed the statue of the Wizard King perched atop the enormous skull. Lily responded affirmatively when Asta asked if the Wizard King was a significant figure, adding that he was the second most notable figure after the king. Asta then questioned whether or not the Wizard King was an important person. Asta took a position on top of the fence surrounding the orphanage and announced to the children that he had decided to rule as the Wizard King one day. Asta began to list why he wanted to be the Wizard King, and Lily seemed very surprised by his response. After that, Asta asked Lily if she would marry him because he would be the Wizard King, to which she responded that it was an entirely different subject matter. Asta then asked if she would marry him since he would be the Wizard King. The sister continued to deny Asta's requests despite his repeated inquiries. Yuno let out a chuckle in response to this. On the 12th of December, Asta attempted to practice his magic but was unsuccessful. It appeared as though he was irritated by the fact that he could not use his magic just yet. When Lily walked by while lugging a laundry basket, Asta greeted her and informed her that he would assist her with the laundry. In response, Lily thanked Asta for his assistance. After that, he proposed, but she immediately declined and said no. He made another attempt to ask her, but she kept cutting him off and refusing each time. When Yuno arrived, she attempted to quiet baby Nash's cries, and Asta told her not to let her tears fall. Asta stated that silencing the cries of 1 or 2 infants was not difficult for him because he would become the Wizard King. As soon as Asta got a hold of Nash, he started shaking the infant roughly, which made Nash cry even more than he already was. Asta appeared to be taken aback by the fact that Lily prevented Nash from crying. Reccap made fun of Asta because he boasted about becoming the Wizard King in the distant future. The orphans were given the task of delivering a letter to another town by Father Orsi. Although Asta offered to help, Orsi decided to work with Yuno instead. Although Asta assured Yuno that he would accompany him, Yuno flatly refused, took the letter, and departed. Yuno was accosted by a drunkard in the town after delivering the letter, and the drunkard stole the boy's necklace from him. Asta observed that Yuno was lagging behind schedule. Yuno tried to fight back with his wind magic, but the drunkard laughed at him and his ineffective magic. Suddenly, Asta ran in and attempted to tackle the man, but he pushed them aside and continued walking away. Despite this, Asta stood up after being struck and insisted he was given the necklace. When the man saw how determined the boy was, covered in blood and bruises, he eventually gave up and threw away the necklace. Yuno expressed his regret for causing Asta to be hurt, but Asta reassured Yuno that he would always have his support. In the present, Revchi Salik is having a panic attack over the grimoire and sword that suddenly appeared, and at the same time, a shadow that looks like a devil appears on the wall behind Asta. The chain magic of Revchi is rendered useless by a swing of the sword. As Asta slams the sword into Revchi, he proclaims that he will become the Wizard King even though he does not have magic, and that his determination to keep fighting is his magic. Revchi is rendered unconscious and then slammed into a wall after being attacked. Asta explains that to strengthen his body, because he did not have magic, he trained it physically. Asta and Yuno remember their vow to one another and recommit themselves to becoming the Wizard King. A monstrous entity is launching an assault on the city. After that, the first Wizard King appears and vanquishes the demon. The Clover Kingdom has been guarded over the subsequent generations by a Wizard King in charge of 9 different squads of magic knights. It is everyone's responsibility to lay down their lives to defend not only the kingdom, but also its subjects. Asta drank the juice extracted from Maguro leaf after completing his 1,000 swings with the sword he obtained from his grimoire. Yuno has also been working on his fitness, breaking rocks and chopping wood. They are keen on taking the Magic Knight's entrance exam between the two of them. Sister Lily and Father Orsi visit to talk about their foster son's upcoming test. After that, Yuno and Asta compete in a race to get back to the church, and Nash declares that Yuno is the victor. The following day, while Asta is practicing, Nash approaches him and tells him that orphans are too frail and poor ever to have a chance of becoming magic knights. However, Asta yells at him not to give up, proclaiming that he will show that anyone can succeed. Before the boys leave the next morning, Lily and Orsi prepare a special dinner with various potato-based dishes to enjoy that evening. Lily remembers the night Yuno brought back an injured Asta and their first encounter with the boys after they had left, and then they went. The boys will continue to hone their skills while they are on a long journey to the royal capital. The moment they arrive in Kika, the boys waste no time in registering for the preliminary examination required to join the Magic Knights. After all of the candidates have been seated, the Antibirds will approach them and swoop down on Asta. Since the Antibirds prefer to work with people who have less magical power, they steer clear of Yuno and concentrate their efforts on Asta instead. During her fight with the birds, Asta runs into Yami Tsukahiro, captain of the Black Bulls, as well as his companions Finraru Rulekes and Gordon Agrippa. After Yami leaves, CK Bronzaza introduces himself to Asta and describes the captains of their squad as they enter: Nozzle Silva of the Silver Eagles, Pegulion Vermilion of the Crimson Lions, Jack the Ripper of the Green Mantises, Charlotte Rousselet of the Blue Roses, Geldu Poiso of the Purple Orca, Dorothy Unsworth of the Coral Peacocks, Ril Boismortier of the Aqua Deer, and William Vengeance of the Golden Dawns. While Asta struggles with the variety of questions throughout the test, Yuno and Sake excel in their ability to answer all of the questions. To have any chance of passing the final exam, the candidates will need to work together. Despite the fact that Sake believes Asta to be a feeble peasant, he chooses to be with them. In spite of this, Asta is able to incapacitate Sake with a single blow, and he then announces that he intends to ascend to the position of Wizard King. After Asta's victory over Sake Bronzaza and his subsequent declarations that he intends to become the Wizard King, the crowd believes that Asta suffers from a mental illness. This belief came about as a direct result of Asta's intention to become the Wizard King. The remaining competitors face off against one another, and for her round, Yuno will be working alongside Salim Hapsas. Even if Salim casts his most powerful spell, Yuno is still able to dispatch him with ease using his towering tornado. Following the completion of the examination, the squad captains will select members of the competition from among the applicants. Yuno makes the decision to sign up with the Golden Dawn squad after receiving support and encouragement to do so from the group's captains. Asta has not been extended any job offers at this time. Yami Tsukahiro explains to Asta the reason for this, which is that they do not know where he got his power, and he does not have any magical abilities of his own. It doesn't matter how many times he gets knocked down on the path to becoming the Wizard King, Asta assures him that he won't ever give up on his ambition to achieve it. Asta says yes to Yami's invitation to join the Black Bull, the squad that Yami commands. Yuno and Asta begin talking to one another, but Asta soon needs to excuse themselves because they need to use the restroom. When Asta goes into the bathroom, Sake immediately goes in after her. He concocts a poisonous lizard in an effort to go after Asta, but Yuno is able to prevent him from doing so. After being apprehended, Asta is transported to the stronghold of Black Bull. They open the door to enter, only to find that there is already a fire inside. Yami expresses her happiness at the news that he will be joining the team. Yuno makes her initial introduction to Golden Dawn leader Klaus Lunetz at the organization's headquarters. Klaus warns him that becoming a member of the group will not happen immediately, despite his efforts. Asta makes an effort to introduce himself to the Black Bulls, but they are focused on the issues that they are facing and do not pay attention to him. As soon as Yami Sukahiro succeeds in getting their attention, everyone rushes outside to meet him because he has broken down a wall. Yami is the one who initially introduces each of them to Asta, and then it is everyone's turn to speak briefly about themselves. When Asta mentions that he is interested in buying a robe, he is told that in order to do so, he must first prevail over Magna Swing. Magna makes him go through the motions of the rite of passage by making him do push-ups and sit-ups. This officially welcomes him into the group. He will need to defend himself against an assault from Magna as part of his final test. If he follows through, the Black Bulls will be more than happy to have him as a member of the team. He is successful in turning Magna's attack back on himself and directing it toward him. Magna is moved by Asta's actions and offers his robe to them as a token of his gratitude. While Noelle Silva watches the activities on the ground below, she enjoys herself by sitting on a balcony and laughing at the antics of the other recruits. Thanks for watching.